So here's a viewer suggestion. This comes from Franny P. Franny, thank you. This is Meidas Touch, and specifically it's Texas Paul, who came across a secret recording that he says really exposes GOP operatives and what they're all about. I think we should have a look at that. So let's do it.
Let's talk about Bud Light outrage. I want you to take a look at this video, folks. It doesn't pertain to Bud Light, but it's a video I've been tagged in a lot, and it's the same thing. I want you to, it's all part of this, and you need to stick with me to the end, folks. This is good. Take a look at this clip.
For the past few weeks, I've been helping you know your enemy. And recently, I spoke to you about the Heritage Foundation. An activist group recently managed to infiltrate one of Heritage Foundation's secret conferences and listen to what they had to say.
$24 million investment over the next 2 years. We've already started. We're working with these state legislators to make sure they have all of the information they need to draft the bills. In some cases, we actually draft them for them, or we have a sentinel on our behalf.
Oh, mercy. Let's not only, hold up, let me get in chat. Okay. Let's not only pay attention to what these folks are doing, but let's take notes. Okay. They draft the bills for their representatives. Let's find somebody in the Wicked community who knows how to draft a bill, because I bet we've got some ideas worth making these punks do for
Give them the model legislation so it has that grassroots, from the bottom up type of vibe. Iowa was the first state that we
type of vibe. Oh my God. This is what astroturf looks like, folks.
got to work it, and we did it quickly and we did it quietly. Governor Reynolds signed the bill on March 8th. Little fanfare. Honestly, nobody even noticed. My team looked at it and were like, it can't be that easy.
Nobody even noticed that this group is the one working behind the scenes to not only introduce legislation that is hateful and anti-LGBT and anti-BIPOC, but sometimes they draft the bills themselves, and they pride themselves on being able to do it behind the scenes in secret.
I mean, I knew they behaved like this, but I didn't think they were out there bragging about it. Oh my God, good find, Franny P. Jesus.
We've also hired state lobbyists to make sure that in these targeted states, we're meeting with the right people. I was able to sit down with Governor Kemp 3 days before he signed the election package in Georgia, and I had one message for him. Do not wait to sign that bill. If you wait even an hour, you will look weak.
They spend millions of dollars hiring top attorneys to research and find loopholes to pass these hateful bills. And then they pressure the legislators to pass it.
This is key. It's the bedrock of this entire comprehensive plan. If we didn't have the best legal minds and election law experts around this, we wouldn't be able to give that advice and counsel to state legislators. We wouldn't be able to help them draft their bills. We wouldn't be able to give the ammo to activists to get that echo chamber and wrap around these members. So it's key. It's the foundation.
God damn. Look, if you want to know why I say we should generally be polite, I mean, we can disagree. In fact, we should disagree, but we should be polite to visitors. I don't want to be the right-wing version of that. I don't want to be the left-wing version of that. I don't want that at all. I want us to be the left-wing antidote to that, but not their bright reflection. In other words, we should take steps to make sure this doesn't become an echo chamber. And it's also, by the way, why I truly love having folks disagree with me in the comments or hold me to a higher standard. Because, Jesus Christ, they're just talking about the right-wing echo chamber now, openly, like, yes, this is good. We want to grab a hold of that echo chamber. We really want these sheep to all follow into this here slaughterhouse. Jesus Christ.
Foundation of their organization is lobbying the government by financing their campaigns to pass the bills that they write. And they admit that if Democrats were not in the White House, that they would get away with a lot more. Listen to this.
I've honed in on these 8 specific focus states because they are
Let's be crystal clear. I see one of those states, and I'll tell you, it is not a battleground state. One of those states, which consists of 2 peninsulas, was a gerrymandered state, but it ain't a battleground state. And I ain't going to let some lady serving the devil here get away with calling Michigan a battleground state. For that matter, I'm not entirely sure that Wisconsin is. But let's let her finish her just absolutely sinister piece here. I can't do, in fact, a better job of telling right-wingers why they shouldn't vote for the right wing anymore than this fucking sinister lady is doing.
battleground states. They're politically significant. And if maybe 2, maybe 3 of these 8 states went a different way, and
Ooh, but I do love that she's calling Texas a battleground state. And I'll happily take up that battle. And as we just heard from Patrick Thibodeau, there's lefties in Texas.
November, we would be having a different conversation here.
The Heritage Foundation is a white supremacist Christian nationalist organization with a goal of overthrowing the U.S. government. And yet, as they admit here, they are behind a lot of the laws that are being brought forth in our country. This is a hostile takeover by an outside organization that seeks to dismantle the United States. And you need to know your enemy.
So, yeah, she's talking about the Heritage Foundation, and you know, people feel like this is a real gotcha. What this is the Heritage Foundation. This is their portrayal to potential donors. This is a sales pitch. That's why they're portraying themselves as this super secret ninja spy organization. Folks, the Heritage Foundation has been lobbyists for decades. They've been writing legislation for decades. They have. This is not new. We've known this forever. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad this video is getting out and people are actually seeing how the right wing works. I mean, that's fantastic. But this whole astroturf thing, well, yeah, that's all the Republicans have left. I mean, that is literally all they are, is an astroturf movement. We're going to get to Bud Light, but let's talk about CRT first. You know, I did a video about this. I talked about where all their misinformation about CRT came from. It's from an organization called the Manhattan Institute. And it's called the Manhattan Institute because it's in the middle of Manhattan. It's literally 1 block off of Madison Avenue, the big ad district. There's a reason for that location. It's at 42 Vanderbilt Way. Literally 1 block off of Madison Avenue and all these ad agencies. And it's specifically located there for a reason.
Just chiming in to add on to what Texas Paul is saying here. First of all, thank you for reminding me that Texas Paul is part of Meidas Touch and is a hell of a talent. I really like this guy. Second, that TikToker just earned another subscription. I'm going to have to sign up for TikTok, but by God, she's earned it. Third, well, I think what he's saying is true. On the whole, it's true. Basically, all they have left is these astroturf campaigns. Yeah. But what are they? Really? I mean, like, what's the purpose of them? Is it just to do evil? Well, it's to take a very, very small group of voters and get them riled up and get the things they want passed. So number one, it's to create the desire in the first place. AMI, for example, that's a larger group but it's the same thing. It's a media organization, but it's the same thing. It exists to get that group of voters riled up about something. And then you have this lady from the Heritage Foundation laying out how they then get change done. And look, it's sinister change. It's awful change, but let's be like the Romans. Learn from those people that fought us the hardest. I don't like what they're trying to do. I don't agree with what they're trying to do. I don't even agree with all of their tactics on like an ethical level. But we can't deny the effectiveness of a lot of this. For a long time in the United States of America, a sliver of the population has dictated how the rest of us have to live. And they've been making the country more and more barbaric. They have been holding back progress, technological progress, social progress. They've been haunting us with the same problems for generations now. Can you imagine how effective those tactics will be? For example, writing the bill and handing it to a legislator. Can you imagine how powerful those tactics will be in the hands of a group that isn't a sliver of the voters, but is in fact the majority of voters? We just have to wake up and give a damn. We can. Let's let this man keep going.
They pump this nonsense out. And in their own words, their stated goal is to politicize everything. To politicize everything. And if you don't know what the Manhattan Institute is, Cliff Notes version is, it's an organization founded by our worst CIA director and a British oligarch that believed oligarchy was the best form of government. It's currently run by an oligarch by the name of Paul Singer. He's the chairman over there.
Neoliberalism. In other words, when he's saying a British oligarch, these are adherents of neoliberalism. It got this undemocratic way of viewing government got popularized after World War II by a survivor of World War II who saw the rise of Adolf Hitler and literally came to the conclusion that democracy isn't good. So what is neoliberalism? It is that person's conversion kit for democracy. If you're already afflicted with the dangerous democracy, this is how you make it irrelevant. Neoliberalism. Just giving you the Hartman historical context there.
They just want to pump out oligarchy. That's what they do. And they're doing it by propaganda. CRT being one of it. All of the misinformation you've heard come out of the right and all the misinformation the right believes about CRT came out of the Manhattan Institute. They wrote it all. Disseminated it out to politicians, and the politicians and their contacts in social media pumped it out to their base. So now their base has no freaking clue. And they said themselves, they were stupid enough, one of their fellows was stupid enough to do an interview. They said it outright. They were very proud of it. They chose CRT for a reason, because you knew nothing about it. Their base knew nothing about it. It was, quote, the perfect villain. They could say anything about it they wanted. And you really got to at least admire their effectiveness. Because
when I say things like we should be willing to fight mean, this is what I'm talking about. Not fight unfair, but fight mean. This is the kind of stuff we should do. For example, they want to politicize everything. I don't think we should resist that, because they're going to be able to politicize to their folks as much as they want. we can use that to our advantage. Judo that shit. Let them choose to fight us on any battleground, because we'll win on any battleground. But we do need to be aware that the fight's going on. So they want to politicize anything, everything. Okay. Let's do the same. Every time somebody complains to you at work about how much the boss makes, mention politics. Every time somebody complains to you about not being able to pay for something, mention politics. When you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you that you have X option which costs Y, or you have Y option which costs, that was a poor example, or you have A option which costs B, whatever. Mention to your doctor politics. Be like, well, I'd love to do the thing that sounds better, but if you're genuinely not able to do it for financial reasons, say, but we live in a country where I can't do the best thing for my health. I have to do the most affordable thing for my health, and I hope, doctor, you'll remember that when you vote. Keep it going. Bring politics into everything. And if they want to throw in the towel, let them throw in the towel. We'll bring down the temperature after they do, and not before. These are villains, which means we will win these fights because we're right. It's that simple. The decent folks in the United States are right, and the monsters are monsters, and they can only exist in their echo chambers. We don't require an echo chamber, and we should work hard. We should acknowledge that we will constantly be in some form of one, but we should work hard to make sure that we are not, to try to not be. Because our ideas don't require isolation to exist. Theirs do.
I'll be honest with you. I had a conversation with a couple. I went on a cruise to the Bahamas, and I'm sitting there eating breakfast next to a couple having a nice conversation. And then it eventually went from talking about medication and different things, to politics. And I didn't feel like, I'm on a cruise with a bunch of Trumpers, so I didn't feel like the bullshit. So I put out there immediately, look, when it comes to Democrats around here, I'm about the tallest hog at the trough. I am stone cold, hardcore, ride or die Democrat. Just so you know, coming out the gate. They were shocked. They were like, this guy that we're having a great conversation with is a Democrat? Yes, I'm a Democrat. Then they started asking me questions. CRT came up immediately. These folks believed in their heart of hearts CRT existed in all of our kids' schools, and Republicans saved the day and got it out. That's how this astroturf propaganda works. They find a subject, moving along to Bud Light, they find a subject that people really don't know anything about. I mean, let me be honest with you. What do you know about being trans? What do you know about trans people? I mean, as offensive as it is, the average person believes that trans people is just a super gay person that likes to play dress up. It's not. It's a physical state of being. But most people don't have any clue about that, and that's why it's a perfect target for Republicans. I mean, you wonder why all of this anti-trans stuff came out? I mean, really, it just like popped up overnight, just super trans hate. I mean, they've always been hateful towards the LGBTQ community, but it's been on steroids and focused almost specifically at the T in LGBTQIA community. Why? Because it's the perfect villain. You don't know anything about it, really. Their base doesn't know anything about it, really. They can say anything they want. That's why they say trans people are pedophiles. Trans people are grooming your kids. None of it's true. None of it's true.
Side note, he's made a fantastic point. I don't want to go too far away from it. But side note, that is also why you see all of these closeted Republican politicians. So you'll have supposedly straight Republican politicians get caught with a male prostitute in a bathroom somewhere. And it might make you think, oh my God, what's happening? Well, what's happening is that person's probably, I don't know, bisexual, maybe they're gay, who knows? But they grew up in a culture where those kinds of thoughts are shunned. You're not supposed to know about them. So they handle them badly when they have them. He's made a fantastic point, though, which is that what this relies upon is ignorance. It relies on ignorance to exist. They pick issues which people don't know that much about. And by the way, you will notice almost universally the response of the left is to first try to understand the thing and then look at the legislation around it. And the response of the right, as they are coached to do, and let's be clear, this is where the onus ceases to be on the voters and starts to be on the con artists. The response of the right is to, by default, say anything other than what I say I am shouldn't exist. Because that's how they're coached to handle it. Because it is framed to them as your existence versus this other group's existence. And they go out of their way to make sure these people forget that they're in America, which is supposed to be a place where people can do what they please. And it does not have to be any of your damn business.
But their base doesn't know, and they're told to be mad. Perfect example, this Bud Light thing. I challenge you to find a video where somebody's destroying their Bud Light that they have a can with Dylan Mulvaney's face on it. You won't find it. These people never saw these cans. And to be honest with you, had not some astroturf group, and we don't know which one was behind the Bud Light thing yet, but some sharp person on the left will find it. So, somebody like an Aaron Rupar, somebody will dig in. They'll find the timestamps on all these releases. They'll find out who was spreading this out. And it's going to be an astroturf group that told right-wingers to be outraged. And what is so, you've just got this group, because every right-winger is mad.
Son of a gun, I can't resist a challenge. Your old pal Jake used to be something of a news hound. I'll bet you one membership. That is, if you're not a member and in your heart you're willing to take this bet, I'll bet you one membership that by tomorrow, that's right, by tomorrow at 8 p.m., I can find the group that astroturfed the anti-trans Bud Light wildness. If in your heart you just took that bet, if in your heart you just said bet, and I show up tomorrow with the membership, or excuse me, with the information, I want that membership. And if you just respect the game, consider it anyway. Start the clock, 24 hours. I'm going to get this information for you.
Because we're pushing this in their face. They don't want to see it. They would have never seen a Dylan Mulvaney can. In fact, they would have never known Bud Light was sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney. They wouldn't have. None of those videos would have ever entered their orbit. Ever. If a right-wing group had not picked it up and intentionally blasted it into their orbit. And then they became outraged and started blasting it all over the place. So get this. They're outraged that this is in their face when they are the only people putting this in their face. And that's true because they're all like, well, I'm drinking Coors Light now. Well, Coors Light had the same exact Sponsorship. Why do you think Bud did it? Because they didn't want to seed the LGBTQ market to Coors alone. Yeah. They know nothing about this. But they're outraged. Skeeters are out. But they're outraged. Outraged by their own behavior of putting this all in their face. Kid Rock shooting cans of beer. You know, that's either A, an attempt at relevancy again, or B, somebody paid him to do it.
On behalf of Michigan, I just want to apologize for letting this son of a car dealership owner become famous. I was a big part of that. I bought basically all of his albums when I was in middle school, and I stopped around all summer long, which was just the right time to get off that train. Kid Rock is scum.
You know, it's just one of those two things. You know, it's the same astroturf nonsense. We didn't put that in their face. Hell, most of us didn't even know it happened. Most people didn't even know who Dylan Mulvaney was. On the left, much less the right.
Yeah, I did not know.
And fortunately, nobody took the rope-a-dope. Nobody came rushing to Bud Light's aid and yada, yada, yada. So it's just so painfully obvious that it's in only their orbit because it's only in their orbit. Nobody took the bait. Nobody jumped into a fight that wasn't a fight. Which I have to commend you folks. There aren't pictures of people down in Bud Light and shit like that. You know, I mean, it's just right-wingers being outraged by information put in their face by right-wingers. You gotta love it, folks. That's all Republicans are. They do not govern. I mean, look at the idiocy of the budget proposal they put forward, slashing all spending by 25%. Yeah.
I gotta say, great suggestion. Great suggestion. I'm going to throw this out there, and hey, Wicked community, let me know what you think. I don't know how I feel about the not taking the bait. I think if you had every single time there was an anti-whatever panic, if there was a massive whiplash the other way, it might encourage companies to yada, 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 yada. But I'll tell you, I lean towards the lazy. And if it's a might do something, then I think the better thing to do is chill out and just let these people make asses of themselves until somebody makes a really good argument for going the other way. Overall, though, yes, it's so clear that these campaigns are astroturf. It's so clear that right-wing politicians have no interest whatsoever in doing anything of use. And I think that the what you can do isn't even something I got to look up and do a whole segment for it. This is easy. Share that video from Texas Paul. Share videos. If you got Bo of the Fifth Column, you got Texas Paul, you have people with an aesthetic that is going to be appealing to people on the right who are talking sense and coming out the gate showing what astroturf they are dealing with on the right. That can only be helpful. So share that clip around. Link's in the description. Okay, link's not in the live video description, but link will be in the description of the VOD upload. Wonderful video, and thank you, Franny P, for the recommendation. Franny's the man, I'm telling you.